Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're diving into this feeling that just seems to be, well, everywhere in the Netherlands right now. And maybe even further afield, too.
Yeah, I think so. It's the sense that something's really changed, hasn't it? Like
Yes.
the ground is shifting under our feet.
Exactly. A kind of loss of identity, maybe. And definitely this feeling that trust has just evaporated. You feel it, too, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's not just talk. It feels real. Like those old certainties, those institutions we leaned on, they feel a bit shaky now.
Right. So what we want to do today is unpack this. There's that big viral discussion recently, the one calling it the downfall of the Netherlands. We're going to get into the arguments behind that using different views from the sources we looked at to help you listening figure out not just what might be happening, but maybe why it feels this way, how we got here.
Yeah, and we're using that really widely seen interview with Jan Roos as a sort of anchor point. But we're adding more context, looking at it through a wider cultural lens, some historical stuff, philosophical ideas too.
So it's not just about that one conversation.
No, exactly. It's about the bigger picture it taps into, trying to give you a really full kind of nuanced understanding of these currents.
Okay, so let's start with that erosion of trust.
Yeah.
I actually have a personal story here that really, really changed how I see things.
Oh.
I used to live in what I thought was a really high trust society. Honestly, I trusted institutions, banks. I saw them as partners,
Right, the way many people did.
Totally. But then 2008 happened, the financial crisis, and businesses like mine, we were sort of pushed into these really complicated interest rate swaps.
Yes, those.
And I signed them. Didn't fully get it, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
And, well, long story short, I lost a lot of money, a really significant amount.
Wow.
And that just, it shattered everything. My whole perspective shifted. That trust, gone, poof. Now, I read every single word, every tiny bit of small print on any official document.
That's such a powerful example, and sadly, I think a lot of people listening might recognize something in that. It shows how deep that trust was and how hard the fall felt.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating, isn't it, how that specific trust in banking, which was so, baked into Dutch life, just got chipped away. You probably remember the old Rhineland's model after the war.
Sure.
Bankers knew their customers, really knew them. It was local, personal. Trust went both ways. You'd go into the bank. They knew your family, your business.
Like a Rabobank for farmers, right? It was part of the community fabric.
Exactly that, almost like family. But then, well, things started to change. Policy shifts, a kind of creeping opportunism, maybe?
How do you mean?
Well, rules changed globally. Things like loosening the gold standard back in '71, and then later getting rid of laws like Glass-Steagall in the U.S. that separated different kinds of banking.
Okay.
That stuff had knock-on effects everywhere, including here. It changed the Rhineland's model. Banks started acting more like, well, aggressive entrepreneurs, maybe, less like community guardians.
Yeah. And that line between capital and labor got blurry. So what happened? Bankers started seeing people purely as customers, not neighbors, not partners. Customers.
Right. And that opens the door to, well, exploiting that relationship. Or at least putting profit way ahead of the person's actual needs.
Precisely. It's a huge shift from that old duty of care.
It really makes you think. You compare it to, say, doctors. Okay, they earn well, but most still seem to have that strong sense of duty, that Zorgplichtsgevoel. They're generally not going to push a drug on you just because they profit from it if it's not right for you. But bankers now, the incentive seems to be just sell, 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 right? Whether it helps you or not.
And that loss of trust, it isn't just an abstract idea. It costs society. It breeds cynicism, makes inequality worse, and it frays the connections between people.
Yeah.
So the big question for you, listening, becomes, if you can't automatically trust these big institutions anymore, how do you even operate? How do you navigate that?
And it's not just banks, is it? This trust thing, it pops up elsewhere. Definitely. Think about big pharma, the whole medical world.
We've talked before about things like the Kennedy expose or that series, Dope Sick.
Right. Those stories show how, even in systems designed to help and protect, you can get these perverse incentives creeping in, a drift away from just pure care.
Yeah.
Now, okay, the rules are different in Europe compared to America, like no direct ads for medicines here.
Sure.
But even in our regulated systems, you can still get weird effects, like maybe over-treatment sometimes, prescribing more than is strictly needed.
Or not enough focus on just staying healthy in the first place.
Exactly, because the system rewards treating sickness more than preventing it. So the takeaway for you, it means you can't just passively rely on these institutions anymore. You have to be more active, more discerning.
Check things out for yourself more.
Yeah, look at different sources, maybe lean more on your local community, build new kinds of reliable networks. It's a shift towards more personal vigilance.
Okay, let's switch gears a bit, but it's connected, I think. Let's talk about national identity, and specifically the Dutch flag.
Ah, yes, the flag.
Jan Roos made this really striking point. He said TV cameras at football games seem to be deliberately avoiding showing the Dutch flag now, especially after that awful murder of the young girl, Lisa.
I remember that comment.
It's like showing the flag has become almost an illegal act, something frowned upon. But then you see it everywhere during royal events. It's a weird contrast.
It is.
And for me, personally, this hits home. When I was younger, I was kind of anti-national pride, kicking against it.
Sure, common phase, maybe.
But now, I find myself actually wanting that feeling back, yearning for it almost. But then there's this fear, like if I express any kind of national sentiment, I'll instantly get slapped with the extreme right label.
That's a really interesting personal shift, and I suspect you're not alone in feeling that tension. It taps into something deeper about the flag's history here. Well, for a lot of Dutch people, the flag isn't just cloth. It's tied to family, to the nation literally being built out of the water in Japolderd, centuries of working together against the odds.
Right, that collective effort.
Yeah. And it represents that tradition of citizens organizing themselves, like the old civic guards, the shutters you see in the paintings, building their own communities, defending them.
So it's not just patriotism, it's about building something together, loyalty, gratitude.
Exactly. It's deeply rooted in that history, which is why seeing it maybe sidelined or treated as controversial now, it hits a nerve for some.
So it's more than just a symbol. It reflects a whole identity built over time.
Absolutely. And tied into that is this unique Dutch relationship with the elite, with the people in charge. Historically, there's been an expectation that they should listen, adapt.
Like Willemite giving more power when people pushed back.
Yeah, or even, letting hippies hang out in the Rijksmuseum instead of just cracking down hard. James Kennedy talked about this, his new Babylon idea. Basically, the Dutch expect their leaders, their bestuurders, to actually share decision-making, not just make decisions and then explain them afterwards like some kind of fake democracy. They expect real input.
Okay, so if that's the expectation, how does that fit with today? Because that whole idea feels under pressure now, right?
Huge pressure from things like European integration, maybe, or what some people see as this Anglification agenda.
You mean like English taking over?
Yeah, the idea that Dutch is actively being pushed aside as a language of culture, of beschaving, especially in universities and big companies.
Right, like Jan Roos refusing to do international things in English because it's not his heartstall, his heart language.
Exactly. That's a powerful statement, isn't it? It shows this deep challenge to cultural identity, to linguistic identity. It's not just about language. It feels like it's about the soul of the culture being diluted or ignored.
When your own language feels secondary in your own country. Yeah, that's profound.
It's just a big shift in values, challenging what it even means to be Dutch anymore.
Okay, let's dig into another big theme that came up. This idea of a shift from a maybe broader-minded elite to a narrower expertocracy.
Yes, this is really key, I think. The critique is that we now have these experts who, the saying, know more and more about less and less.
Right. Super specialized.
Exactly. They're incredibly focused on their one little area, but maybe don't see or weigh the wider impact on society as a whole.
Like the COVID example you mentioned earlier.
Precisely. The focus was so intense on the virus and the sick that other huge things, kids' education, mental health, the economy, maybe didn't get the same weight in the decision-making.
And the argument is, these experts lack that overall sense of responsibility, that verantwoordelijkheidsbesef for the whole country.
Yeah, that's part of the critique, that maybe they're more focused on global issues, climate, abstract rights, than the immediate needs and health of Dutch society itself.
And this narrow focus, this expert-driven approach, it leads to what's being called politics of fear, angstpolitik.
That seems to be the link people are making. The idea is that the elite, relying so heavily on these narrow experts, becomes kind of brittle, maybe. Afraid of dissent, afraid of anything outside that narrow truth.
So afraid they can't even take a joke. like the Jan Roos arrest example or what happened to Graham Linehan overseas.
Those are the kinds of examples used, yeah. It suggests an elite that finds different perspectives threatening in under perspektivtengvinden. They operate as if there's only one right answer, and anyone who questions it is, well, part of the problem.
Not just someone with a different opinion.
Right. It's like disagreement itself becomes the enemy instead of being, a normal, healthy part of democracy. If you shut down debate, you lose perspectives, you probably end up with worse solutions.
So, thinking about you listening,
Mm-hmm.
how does this narrowing of views, this Bligvernauing and this politics of fear,
Yeah.
how does that actually affect your life, your ability to speak freely, the kinds of policies that get made? Does it make you hesitant to voice a different view?
It's a crucial question.
Okay, so we've got eroding trust, identity under pressure, rule by narrow experts. What's the response? Jan Roos had that very blunt call to action, didn't he? Kom van de bank off. Get off the couch.
Yeah. It's direct, isn't it? I see that as a kind of decadence analysis, meaning it's a challenge to stop just complaining passively and actually do something, get involved again, rebuild things from the ground up.
Like practically, what does that look like?
Well, simple things maybe. Join the local football club. Volunteer as a coach. Start something in your neighborhood. Don't just wait for the government or public services to fix everything.
Take some responsibility back.
Exactly. Because the argument is that trust has broken down even locally. Like parents apparently not trusting other parents with their kids anymore. That leads to everyone just retreating into their own little bubble, right? Hyper-individualism.
My personal spin on that get off the couch thing, especially for men, it's about taking responsibility for safety, for women's safety.
Yes.
Like, I've always made a point of cycling home with female friends from parties. I pick up my wife if she's out late in the city. That feels normal to me. Just basic looking out for each other.
That's a really interesting interpretation, a sort of civic duty aspect.
Yeah, but it makes you think about that balance between control and trust, doesn't it? We have that unique Dutch thing, the school trip dropping, where kids are left in the woods to find their way back.
Right, fosters independence, or it used to.
Versus now, you get helicopter parenting. Total opposite. It feels like we've swung from trusting the collective and fostering independence to being driven by fear and needing constant control.
That's a really sharp observation, that trust in collective responsibility. It feels much lower now. And this call to action, it also gets pointed directly at the issue of, well, migration, but no integration.
Ah, okay. How does that connect?
The argument being made is that citizens need to take more ownership of integration, too. Not just leave it all to the police or social workers to deal with the fallout when it doesn't happen.
Oh.
And there's a pretty sharp critique in the sources, suggesting maybe the welfare system has been a bit too soft, offering a kind of lazy, decadent, set up a slap decadent hap to newcomers.
Oof, strong words.
Yeah. The implication is there needs to be more push towards self-reliance, learning Dutch faster, getting into work quicker. The fear is that if these integration issues aren't tackled head-on, they just fester, brossien.
And that leads to people feeling like politics doesn't matter.
That seems to be the connection, a feeling of apathy, like why bother voting? Because nothing seems to change. The real issues aren't being addressed. People feel unheard.
It's easy to feel pretty down hearing all this, I admit. The picture painted is quite grim. But, underneath it all, I still have this very hard one, but real optimism.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I just fundamentally believe people are curious, they're innovative, they want to cooperate. It feels like there's this curtain that's come down somehow between people and their potential, their ability to connect properly. But I think it's still there.
That optimism is crucial, I think, because we've covered a lot of heavy ground, haven't we? Trust breaking down, identity questions, the expertocracy issue, this urgent call to get involved.
Yeah.
It really feels like we're standing at a kind of crossroads as a society.
And I do hold on to that hope, that people can turn the country to good, whether that means finding a new way to organize ourselves, maybe like the old pillars, but updated.
A new pillarization, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe. Or finding some other way to come back together. It'll be tough, but I think the potential is there.
And history can offer some inspiration here. Think about someone like Abraham Kuyper back in the late 1800s.
Okay, Kuyper. What did he do?
Well, he was facing a pretty stuck elite, lots of social division, and he didn't just sit back. He built things.
Yeah.
His own newspaper, a university, a political party.
Wow. creating alternatives.
Exactly. To give the common people, the Klein Leuten, a voice, a place, he essentially helped create the structures for that pillarization you mentioned, taming the chaos of his time by building new forms of community and trust.
So it shows that even when things look really bad, really stuck, big positive change is possible.
Absolutely. There's that old Dutch saying, right? Waar het gevaar hoog is, wekt het rend af.
Where danger is high, rescue is awakened.
Precisely. It captures that potential for renewal, even in dark times.
So wrapping this up for you, listening, we've journeyed through these deep shifts. Trust fading, identity in question, expertise getting narrower. We've looked at history, at calls for action today.
Yeah. So maybe the final thought to leave you with is this. In this world we've described, where things feel fragmented, where trust is low, what can you do? Personal, collectively.
Taking inspiration from people like Kuiper, maybe?
Perhaps. How can you, in your own life, your own community, start to actively foster that sense of connection again, that trust, that shared responsibility? What small step could you take, not just to question where things are going, but to help shape a different direction?